Yo, 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 peace and love. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? It is 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are here as promised each and every day. Each and every day, we are going to take this hoodie off though. Right. Bit warm in the crib. Right, got the heat on. It's a little cold outside today, baby. A little breezy early, a little brisk. But we back. We are here. We are here once again. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Come on in. Come on in. Tonight is a special night. So we're talking about something extremely important to me. Day 4 of the fast. Day 4 of 50. Day 4 of 50, man. Day 4 of no food. Day 4 of 50 days of divine discipline. Making a lot of adjustments, personal adjustments, and feeling it today. I'm feeling better than yesterday. Definitely a better day than yesterday today. Today is better than yesterday. Yesterday was tough. Yesterday was brutal. But today is a lot better. Today is a lot better. I'm a lot stronger. Got a lot of things done today, actually. In the house, did laundry. Laundry was piled up, backed up. All right, so got laundry done today. Was outside for a while, did some writing, created an AI video for the campaign. All right, we got a donation today. Which is more than yesterday. All right, so grateful for that. Grateful for the progress. Grateful for the process. Just energetically feeling a lot better, feeling stronger. All right, definitely down some weight, down 13 pounds since Saturday. Saturday I was 225. Today I'm 212. Right, definitely feel my stomach already going down. We're gonna run again after this. We're gonna get some push-ups and pull-ups in tonight. All right, we're gonna get a workout in. Not full workout tonight, but definitely gonna get back on the push-ups and pull-ups. Right, got to get the muscles back up. Right, still very strong. Right, still very strong, but we got to keep it going. But today we are going to get into NeuroSoul Liberation, the whole NeuroSoul Liberation, the method, the university, the philosophy behind it. We're going to talk about all of the stuff related to the NeuroSoul Liberation universe, right? Everything NeuroSoul Liberation, I'm actually extremely excited about it, right? I'm extremely excited to talk about this because this is something that I've been literally developing my whole life, right? Let me just share a message. Give me 1 second. It's something I've actually been sharing my whole entire life, building my whole entire life. And now we got a name for it. Now we got a framework for it. Now we have evidence that it works, right? We have evidence that it works. And I am excited to push this thing. I'm excited to build this thing, to grow this thing, to grow NeuroSoul Liberation, to grow Continuum, to grow it all, man, to build it all. I'm really excited, like thoroughly, wholeheartedly looking forward to these next few days, these next few weeks, these next few months, in the years to follow, right? Because this thing is only going to keep growing. It's going to keep unfolding. Because after the NeuroSoul Liberation University, which is going to be for adults, right? Once we got that situated and we got adults who know the framework and we got adults who've learned and we got adults who are certified, right? Then we're going to create the NeuroSoul Liberation Academy for young people to come and to learn, right? And all of that stuff. Let me close my door. All right, to grow and to learn into all of that stuff. So we're going to work with the adults first because the adults are the ones that are going to be teachers in the academy. All right, the adults who learn. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to really pull this whole thing together to build this system, this much needed system, this long needed system for human becoming, development, and transformation. Right. Let's get into it. Let's give folks a few more minutes to come on in. All right, give folks a few more minutes to come on in. This thing is gonna pick up at some point, right? We're just gonna stay consistent and keep going and all of that stuff, and we're gonna be all right. All right. Slow and steady wins the race. I am someone who is not afraid of consistency. I'm not afraid of showing up alone if I have to. right? I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of any part of the process. Am I afraid of, or am I trying to avoid, or this is the process, man. Keep sharing, right? Keep showing up every night, right? Keep talking fully. Go through the full thing as if it was 1,000 people watching, right? Even if it's one person or two people or nobody watches, right? I got a commitment to myself, and I am honoring that commitment. Something I said I would do, I am going to do it, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm not going to stop doing it, all right, until the goal is accomplished. So 50 days of live streaming each and every night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on YouTube. We might switch, because the first platform I was going to go with was Twitch. And so if anything, that may be what happens. We switch to Twitch, if anything, but we might not switch. All right, we might just stay on YouTube the whole time. All right, we got 540 something subscribers on YouTube, and we want to grow this thing out. And so the only way to grow it out is to keep freaking doing it. All right, so yeah, we're gonna give folks 2 more minutes, and then we're going to really get into this. We got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. The NeuroSoul Liberation world is pretty vast, right? We got a lot of stuff we're going to go through tonight. Pull up my notes, and yeah, man, I am excited. I am really excited to be here. All right, to be here in this space, in this position, like building this thing that we all need. The whole of humanity needs what we're building, right? The whole of humanity needs exactly what we are building. And so I'm excited to be the person to be building it, right? I am excited to be the person who is building this thing. Hold on, let me move this over here. Let's get this up here. Let's boom, bap, open that up like that. Put that there. And bingo, bingo, bingo. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Bingo, bango, bingo, bongo. All right, and hold on 1 second. It was something I missed. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me a second. 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 Okay, let us go back here. So it is really a lot to cover. It is a lot to cover tonight, but I'm extremely excited about it. We're gonna give 1 more minute, then we're gonna jump right into it. All right, 1 minute, then we're gonna jump right into it. Let's put this here. Add that here. Move this over there. All right, I got all my notes right here in front of me. We're gonna look right there. We're gonna move this over here. All right, we're gonna close this out. I didn't know that was still open. Close that out. Hold on 1 second. Let me make my notes visible. I wish it was I could put notes in YouTube, like on StreamYard. I could put my notes there, so it's right there. I don't got to click out the screen. But yeah, we got our notepad open, right? And so once again, I am Sean Sugar Marston, founder, creator of Continuum and the NeuroSoul Liberation Method, and founder of the NeuroSoul Liberation University. I am extremely excited. Right now, we are doing 50 days of divine discipline, hunger strike, and fast to raise $50 million to build the infrastructure for human transformation. So the last few days, I've been telling you guys about what I'm building, right? I've been literally explaining what I'm building. I got into who I am. I got into a little bit about why I'm building it, but it's really been about what I'm building. Tonight is different, though, because tonight we're going to talk about how I think. Tonight we're going to get into how I actually think. Because every single thing that you've been hearing, Continuum, the university, this fast, right, it all comes from one place. All of this comes from one simple framework that I've been developing through lived experience, through studying, through transformation. And I finally have a name for it, right? We came up with a name for it last year, and that is NeuroSoul Liberation. We're going to get into NeuroSoul, right? We're going to get into what it means, right? That's what tonight, that's what the whole night is about. This whole live stream is about what does NeuroSoul Liberation, what does NeuroSoul mean? What does NeuroSoul Liberation mean? Tonight, I'm going to break down like what it all means, right? I think once you understand this, once you understand the NeuroSoul Liberation Method, the university, the philosophy behind it, then I think you understand everything. Right. Once you understand this tonight, I think you get to understand everything. You get to understand the university, you get to understand the academy, you get to understand continuum, you get to understand like just all of the alignment, right? And so yeah, really, really excited. Hold on, something is happening. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. Hold on one second. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. I don't know what this is on my computer. Um, Hold on one second, guys. Give me a moment. I don't know what happened. Lost where I was. But anyway, all right. Let's go back to the notes here. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna start with part one. Part one, which is essentially is the beginning. Right? Is how I came to this information, how I came to this knowledge, how I came to this understanding. Please note that although I did take a course last year, and I took a few courses last year, I took the brain coaching certification course with Brain Academy. I took the credible facilitator training with All Kings. Right, a few years ago, I did the therapeutic art coach training. I've done a lot of trainings. Right, but this did not come from a classroom. This NeuroSoul Liberation did not come from a classroom. It came from lived experience. It came from my life, right? It came from being incarcerated. It came from all of the things that I've experienced. The losing a parent, right? Losing 3 siblings, losing hundreds of friends at this point, losing uncles, losing aunts, right? Like seeing friends killed by friends, right? Having my own freaking traumatic experiences, being shot, right? Shooting a gun at people and going to prison for 3 years, right? From family members being on drugs and addicted to alcohol, right? It came from all of that, right? This method, this vision for this university came from all of that. It came from observing behavior patterns, my own and others, right? It came from seeing, like I said, trauma play out in real time in my life and in the lives of others. Like I've seen parents who lose their children who cannot function anymore, right? Who lose their ability to really function like they're alive, but not really, they're existing. They're just existing. I've seen the effect of a police interaction 40 years ago still impact people today when they see cops. They get nervous, right? They get nervous and they get shaky. I've seen it. I've seen trauma play out in real time, right? It comes from, this method came from my obsession with understanding the mind. I have an obsession, and I've always had an obsession with understanding the mind. Understand that at 13, 14, 15, I was studying and reading psychology and philosophy. As a young teenager, I was reading my older siblings' books. I would go to the library or I would go like in the community center, whatever books. I was always drawn to philosophy and psychology, which is why when I got to college, I took psychology. And on Saturdays, right, psychology was my first major, abnormal child psychology, right, focused on. And I on Saturday at 17 years old, I took a 4-hour philosophy class, 3-hour philosophy class, right? 3-4 hours. I think it might have been like 9 to like 1, right? Like a 4-hour class on Saturdays, like at 17. And and I was in the streets at that time, but I made sure I got to that class. And Saturdays, if you know about the streets in the hood, Saturday mornings could be jumping. But I made sure that I got to that class. Why? Because I love philosophy. I love understanding how people think. I love understanding not just what people thought, but how they came to those conclusions, how they came to those understandings, to those perspectives, right? So yeah, like me studying psychology, studying philosophy, studying spirituality. My dad was a Christian reverend, right? My family is religious for the most part, right? I went a different path, studied Christianity and studied Islam and studied Buddhism and studied the Hare Krishna movement. And I sat in the temples and I've been in these places. I've literally studied with monks, Buddhist monks. I was in the Garrison Institute with them. We did some stuff at, I think it was Blue Cliff Institute, right? We did a few things at a few different places, even in New York City. I was with the monks. I was with the Christians. I was with the Buddhists. I was with the Muslims, right? Freaking Miles 7C, may he rest in peace, student minister Abdul Hafiz Muhammad brought the fruit of Islam, the FOI, to Queensbridge for like 2-3 weeks straight. Right, for like 2-3 weeks straight, they was coming out there, 100 deep, 200 deep, walking through the neighborhood, right, passing out freaking, handing out free papers, final calls, and just talking to people with me, uplifting the neighborhood, right? So like I've done these things, right? So this framework comes from all of that, and then neuroscience, of course, understanding how the brain works, understanding the rewiring. And so through all of that study, I realized something simple but powerful. People don't need motivation, right? You hear it so many times. People don't need motivation, they just need discipline. But before discipline, right? Before discipline, they need understanding and they need system. They need understanding of themselves, of how their brain works, of how their heart works, of how they are, of why and how they came to be who they are, right? That's what people need. People need understanding and they need systems. Real simple. So NeuroSoul Liberation is the marriage, is the integration of the brain and the soul, right? A lot of times neuroscience, brain science. I took a course, right? Like I took the course. I took the brain science, brain academy course. I didn't study neuroscience as a whole degree for 2 or 4 years, no. But I took a freaking 12-week intensive course with someone who did take, right, the long road in neuroscience and all of that stuff. But it was intense. It was intense. And the one thing I kept saying to myself as I was taking those classes, week 1, week 2, week 3, I kept waiting for the soul work. I kept waiting for where's the soul, where's the spirit, and all of this. And if I'm not mistaken, it never really came up. Like the spirit, the emotions never really came up. And so I said, like, as I was literally like almost done, I had like a couple of weeks left, and I was thinking about what am I going to do after? How am I going to continue this? Like not just learning, but teach what I've learned and integrate what I'm learning into what I'm already building, what I've already built, right? And so we married them, right? The brain and the soul, NeuroSoul, because both are equally important, right? Both are equally important. It's the science of how we function in the deeper essence of who we are. This is the science of how we function in the deeper essence of who we are. And so the brain, right? We're talking about our patterns. We're talking about our conditioning. We're talking about our trauma. We're talking about our habits. And we're talking about our nervous system. That is what we're talking about when we're talking about neuro, right? The brain, the patterns, the habits, the conditioning, the trauma, the nervous system. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about neuro. And we talk about soul, we're talking about essence. We're talking about purpose. We're talking about intuition. We're talking about creativity. And we're talking about our higher self. So NeuroSoul is the brain, is the patterns, is the conditioning, is the essence, is the purpose, is the intuition, is the creativity, right? Sometimes they're aligned, sometimes they're not. Now, most systems out there, I'm sure you know some of them, they focus on one or the other. They focus either on just the brain, right? Just the brain. The program I was in, Brain Academy, focused on the brain. Great, right? We got some that focus only on the soul, right? A lot of our religions and our spiritual freaking schools of thought focus only on the soul. But NeuroSoul Liberation is about integrating both. It's about integrating the brain with the soul, because we're whole humans with a brain and a soul. Should we not, like when we talk about developing and becoming and transforming and understanding self, is it not about both? Is it not about the brain and the soul? Right? And so we got a philosophy here at the NeuroSoul Liberation world, right? The method in the university, right? So again, the NeuroSoul Liberation method is what initially came out of Brain Academy, right? It's initially what I took out as I left there. I was building a framework, all right, NeuroSoul Liberation method. And then from there, if you know me, you know that I was part of building a school back in 2011, 12, 13, 14, right? In California. And I've always wanted my own school. I've always said that we, Black people, need our own schools. And specifically, I've always wanted to build a school, right? Like, not, I mean, maybe not always, but for a long time, much of my adult life, I've been like, yo, I want to build a school, right? And so the method gave birth to the university. The university, as we build that, and we get that a year, 2 years in, then we're going to build the academy for our young scholars, right? It's going to be powerful. So the framework, the philosophy is really freaking simple. You cannot become your higher self if your brain is still wired to your past. If your brain is wired for your past, there is no way possible that any person can become the higher self. Understand that. Let me say it again. No one can become their higher self if their brain is still wired for their past. You can't become who you're meant to be if your brain is still triggered by old patterns, behaviors, right? Conditioning. If it's still wrapped in old conditioning. And you cannot fully heal if you ignore the deeper essence of who you are. Healing doesn't happen here, right? Like, this is part of it, the story that you tell yourself, right? Like, yes, the reframing, that's part of it, absolutely. The deeper part, though, happens here in your heart, it happens in your soul, it happens in your spirit, it happens with remembering who you are, remembering why you're here, remembering where you came from, what you've been through, and where you're going, remembering who you are becoming. So understand that healing is rewiring, growth is alignment, but transformation is both, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about growth, and we're talking about healing. We're talking about rewiring, and we're talking about alignment. So rewire, not just to rewire to like, but it's all rewiring for the purpose of being in alignment, right? We're talking about rewiring for the purpose of being in alignment with who you're supposed to be, with who you've always been, right? With who you've always been. Like, we've always, I like Jay-Z. Jay-Z said in the song, you was who you was before you got here. So yeah, there's some of us, right? Like, we develop a persona, right? We become people, we become who we need to be in order to survive, in order to fit in order to make life make sense, and to keep us safe and protected, and to help us feel loved and connected, right? So we become. But I know there was a time when I became someone that was so far removed from who I really was, right? And once I did all of this work, this is lived experience, man. Once I rewired the brain, and I observed my behavior patterns, and I looked at the mindset, I looked at the limited beliefs and the framing, and I was able to rechange some things, and like, I was able to transform my life and become who I wanted to be. Right, become who I wanted to be, and I was able to get back in alignment with who I was as a child. Because at 7 years old, I told you guys a story. I watched Heal the World and said, that's what I want to do in my life. And as a young person, I was always helping people, and I always wanted to help people and serve people, and make sure people around me were good, and make sure people in the world were good. That's what I've always wanted to do. That's what I've always wanted to do. But through life circumstance, I lost that, and I was no longer living that. However, through life's good grace and through my hard work, I was able to realign with that person. And so what does it mean to be a brain and a soul coach? What does it mean to be a brain and a soul coach? Because I'm not just a brain coach, I'm a brain and a soul coach. NeuroSoul Liberation Method and University. So as a brain and a soul coach, understand that I do not just help people think differently. It's not all that I do. I don't simply help people think differently. No, I help people understand their patterns. I help people regulate their nervous system. I help people reconnect with their purpose. And I help people practice becoming a new version of themselves. As a brain and a soul coach, not just a brain coach, not just a soul coach, but as a certified brain coach and a soul coach, brain and soul coach, #1 in the world, I do not just help people think differently. I help them understand their patterns. I help them regulate their nervous system. I help them reconnect with their purpose, which is, all of these are important. And I help them practice becoming a new version of themselves, right? I help them practice becoming a better version of themselves, a more ideal version of themselves. Because again, a lot of us are not living our ideal lives. We don't respond the way we want to respond. We're like, damn, I keep responding like that. Or damn, I can't stop this. Damn, it's just how I am. I don't really like it, but I help people break that. I help people become new versions of themselves. And so I work at the intersection of science and spirit, logic and intuition, structure and flow. If you know me, like, that's perfect with who I am. I am a Pisces sun, right? This is my birthday, my birth season. I'm an Aries rising, and I'm a Leo moon. It's perfect with like who I am. This is who I am. This is what I was born to do. I was born to birth this program. I was born to bring this framework. I was born to bring this platform into the world. This is what I was born to do, heal the world in this way. So working at the intersection of science and spirit, logic and intuition, structure and flow, is perfect. As mentioned, I help people. Like I was able to become who I already was beneath the conditioning, right? Beneath the conditioning, I was this little boy, LaShawn, who just wanted to make the world a better place, who just wanted to have fun, laugh, eat good food, and make the world a better place. That's all I've ever wanted to do is laugh, have fun, and make the world a better place. Take care of my family, take care of my friends, right? Like, and create, and ultimately create a better world, not just for me, but for you, right? For the entire human race is what I've always wanted to do. And it's what I'm doing now, right? It's what I'm doing now. And so now we're going to get into the NeuroSoul Liberation method, right? There's a couple of pillars, right? It's like 5-step process. So the first one is the awareness. You got to have awareness about where you are, what you're doing, right? Understanding your patterns, understanding your mind, understanding your conditioning. That's the first step, is the awareness. Once you have the awareness, then we can talk about regulation. Regulation is learning to calm your nervous system and stabilize your emotions. Learning to calm your nervous system and stabilize your emotions. That is what regulation is. Third, right? Once you have the awareness, you understanding your patterns, you understanding your mind, you understand your conditioning, how you got to be how you are, why you are the way you are. Then you regulate, you breathe. You don't just get frustrated, but you breathe, calm down, you stabilize your emotions, and then is the rewiring, introducing a new thought, introducing a new behavior, introducing a new way of looking at something, right? Introducing a new way to look at something, new responses. I don't have to respond the way I've always responded. Somebody says F me, I don't have to respond with F you, which is what I was birthed, and not birthed, but this is what I was raised to do. Somebody says F you, you say F you too. F you, this person will be having a really tough day. All right, new thoughts. Stabilize my emotions, breathe, and ignore. All right, ignore. Or say, hey, brother, hey, sister, I hope you have a great day. I'm sorry to bother you. Right? Being able to take that high road, right? That Michelle Obama, when they go low, you go high. I get it now, right? That's integrity. I am who I am because I want to be this person, not because, like, I'm not going to be somebody different because you are acting in a way that is not in alignment with how I ultimately want to be interacting with you, right? So after you rewire, right, then is the alignment. Right. Once you practice the new thoughts, new behaviors, new responses, then it's alignment, then it's reconnecting with your purpose, your values, and your identity. Who am I? What do I care about? What matters to me? How do I want to show up in the world? Right? How do I want to show up in the world? Who am I become? Who am I and who am I becoming? Who do I want to become? Right? How do I want to become? How do I want to treat the people around me? What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to be remembered as? We're talking about legacy. Right? And after that, the fifth one is really is integration. Because it's about integrating everything that you've learned and everything that you've been through, everything that you've experienced into one cohesive plan or structure or framework, right? So integration is living it daily and understand that you are the framework. Like I am the framework. I am the framework. I am the evidence that this thing works. I am the evidence that what I'm sharing and what I'm building and what I'm teaching, it works. I am the evidence of that. It's me. I am the evidence. I'm the proof. I'm the proof of concept, right? And then now we go into the university, the vision for the university, which is a part of what we're building the money for. This is part of what we're building the money for. The university, what we're building the money for, what we're raising the money for, is to build an actual physical university. We want to build an actual campus, an actual school with actual rooms and actual instructors and facilitators. So this is the vision. This is the vision. Bear with me. This is emotional because like I've always wanted to build a school, and I was part of building a school. And because things changed with the founder and our dynamic, I was not able to see that mission all the way through. But I've always wanted to build a school. Like Queensbridge, we got something called Queensbridge University. Growing up at Queensbridge, real side note. We got Queensbridge University. Queensbridge University was just a saying on the streets, right? You've been through the streets, you've been through the hood, you got some girls, you've been through all of the stuff. Yo, you went to Queensbridge University, right? It was just a thing. And about 15 years ago, I started saying, like, really, like, what if there was a Queensbridge University? What if there was really a Queensbridge University? What if there was a place? Queensbridge is known for what? Queensbridge is known for sports and entertainment. What if there was a place where you can go, Queensbridge University, and you learn the business of sports and entertainment? We got basketball players from Queensbridge. We got boxers from Queensbridge, right? We got NBA champions from Queensbridge, right? We got freaking rappers and filmmakers and musicians from Queensbridge. We also got a lot of other people, great people from Queensbridge, right? Who are not in sports and entertainment, but that's what it's known for. So I was like, what if Queensbridge University was a real thing? And I looked at where it could be. I said, what if the community center we built up on the community center, and that was Queensbridge University? I said, damn, okay, that's for the adults. That's like 17 and up, right? That's like graduate school. That's like outside of high school, right? Continuing education. Then I was like, well, if you got something for the adults, we need something for the young people, right? I was like, what if Queensbridge Academy was right across the street on the nursery? What if we built up and built Queensbridge Academy? So understand, I brought that up simply to say that this is something that I've been wanting to do for nearly the last 20 years, right? Since I've been home from prison, I've been wanting to build schools, institutions. I understand how important they are. I'm an institution builder, and this is where I'm going. So anyway, the vision for the university, the NeuroSoul Liberation University, is where all of what I just spoke about becomes teachable. It is a place where people learn how their brain works, how to heal trauma, how to regulate their emotions, how to lead with purpose, and how to build a meaningful life. Very simple. Very simple. It's a shame, like as simple as it is, it's a shame that this doesn't already exist. Right? It's really a shame that this does not already exist. NeuroSoul Liberation University is a place where people learn how their brain works. One, and super important, how to heal trauma. Super important, how to regulate emotions, how to lead with purpose, and how to build a meaningful life. How do you build a life that has meaning? How do you do that? Right? Extremely powerful. So one of the, I guess, the intentions behind this, right? Or not the intention, but the underlying meaning is that we don't just need more information. It's not just about reading, and listening. We don't just simply need information. We need education that transforms people. We need education like, yo, listen, man, like this thing works. The day I took my written exam for Brain Academy, November 25th last year, so just a few months ago, supposed to have a Zoom with my daughter on her birthday, her 9th birthday. I knew I wasn't seeing her, but our Zoom is scheduled weekly, Tuesdays, this time. It's her birthday. I wore a suit. I'm dressed up. I'm like, I'm going to see my baby. 15 minutes before the call, while finishing my exam, email comes in, oh, we can't do the Zoom tonight. We're out. Can you, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, literally, I didn't pull my hair out. I don't got no hair. But I didn't get like up in arms. I took a breath. I called Kimona in the room. I told her what was happening. And in that moment, all the anger that I had felt prior, because before that, I was angry about the situation. But in that moment, it was just compassion, right? It was just compassion. It was just understanding, right, of my co-parent. And it was like, wow, this shit transforms people, man. So like, that's the kind of education that transforms people. And so what I learned that transformed me, I'm now sharing and I'm now teaching. Very simple. And so we talk about why this matters. Why is this important right now? Family, please, excuse me. Ooh, burp, excuse me. Please understand, overstand, and understand that if we do not teach people how to understand themselves, if we do not teach human beings how to understand themselves, we lead them to repeat patterns they don't even realize they're in. If we don't teach people to understand themselves, we lead them to repeat patterns they don't even realize and understand they are in. So this is why this work matters. Because transformation shouldn't just be real. It should be learnable. You should be able to learn how to transform your life. It shouldn't be like, oh, this person could transform. Because literally it's like, yo, if I could do it, you could do it. But it's like there are certain programs, right, that like, yeah, it's just different. Like this shit should be learnable. You should learn. You should be a place where you come and you learn how to transform your life. Right? You learn how to transform your life. You learn how to rewire your brain. You learn how to understand your patterns, how to dissect patterns and dissect behaviors and get into why am I thinking the way I'm thinking? Why am I behaving and responding the way I'm responding? Why do I keep getting results that I say I don't want, even if I'm doing something a little bit different? It's deep, 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 deep. Transformation should not be something that is rare. It should be absolutely something that is learnable. Any person who wants to transform their life should be able to come to a place and learn to transform their life. How do I transform my life? How do I go from being like this to being like that? Right? Like, if you ask me. And so the invitation tonight, if this resonates with you, this is your invitation to go deeper. Right? Don't just watch transformation. Don't just watch me transform, continuing to transform my life. Participate in this thing. Right? Participate in this thing. Share, donate, contribute. Help us build the NeuroSoul Liberation University. Help us build this thing. Help us build this NeuroSoul Liberation University. It's not going to build itself. And we can't afford to keep waiting for society, the government to do it, or for those people to do it. They're not doing it. It's here right now. I got it. We got it. Right now it's me and this kimono. And we're going to recruit some other people to be a part of building this thing out, to build this curriculum, to build a structure. And like, we need money. We're going to raise some money. All right. So tomorrow is day 5. I'm going to feel better tomorrow even than I do today. Let me drink some of this water. All right. End of the week, I'm going to start getting some coconut water. But tomorrow is day 5. In day 5, we are going to talk about something that most people misunderstand completely. Tomorrow, we are talking about something that the majority of people I've ever heard in the world talk about this thing, misunderstanding completely. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about discipline. We're not talking about punishment, right? We're not talking about beating your children. We're not talking about taking things away. We're not talking about yelling and screaming and they need discipline. We're not talking about punishment. We're not talking about restriction. We're talking about the real role discipline plays in becoming who you're meant to be. That's what we're talking about, the role that discipline plays in you becoming who you were meant to be, who you decide to be, right? Being able to, I think Mike Tyson frames it the best. He said is doing what you hate like you love it, right? Doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it. Doing what you don't really want to do, but you know you got to do it because you said you need to do it, because you said you are going to do it, and you said you're going to do it, and you said you need to do it because you know that it's going to get you to the next level where you want to be. Me fasting right now is discipline, not eating, right? Not eating, drinking water is discipline. It's a sacrifice. It's tough, right? It's freaking tough. Do I not want to be eating? Of course, I love food. If you know me, you know I love food. I'm a vegan foodie. We did 4 episodes of Vegan Adventures with Sugar Ray, and I want to go around the world with that show, Vegan Adventures. Go to different vegan restaurants all around the world, eating food, making videos, talking to owners, talking to chefs, managers about the process of running a vegan establishment, the process of being vegan if they're vegan themselves, or running a vegan establishment if you're not vegan. I want to talk about all things related to veganism and world healing and addressing the issues in the world. So I love food. But I discipline myself to get to the next level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. There's another level that I'm not at yet, in that I'm like, okay, how do I accelerate it? How do I help myself get closer to that goal? Right? How do I help myself get closer to that goal? Is through discipline. So tomorrow, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about discipline, and I promise you, it is deeper than you think. All right? And so tomorrow at 9 p.m., day 5 is going down. KK LaShawn on the check-in. Day 4, give me more, give me more. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in on your travel. But yeah, that's day 4, man. That is day 4. NeuroSoul Liberation Method. That is it explained. In as much detail as I could possibly give right now. All right. There's a lot more to it, but that's it in essence. Again, the 5 pillars, right? The method, the philosophy, right? Like, you cannot become your higher self. No person can become their higher self while their brain is wired for their past. Your brain was wired for survival, right? Like, and all of our brains were wired for survival. That's the first brain. That's the reptile brain, right? Like, a lot of times we're not in immediate danger anymore. But small things happen, we blow it up because we think that is a threat. Nah, you cannot be, no person could become their higher self while their brain is still wired to their past, and no one can heal fully if you don't get to the essence of who you truly are. Who are you? Who are you? Like, who are you? Strip yourself of all of the roles. Strip yourself of all of the conditioning, of everything that you learned. I like to ask people. I haven't really asked it lately, but I used to ask people, if you never read a book and you never heard someone talk, what would you know? If you never read a book, you can't see, you're blind, and you're deaf, you can't hear. So you can't see, never read, you can't hear, no one ever taught you. What would you know? What would you know? What would you know? Right? Yeah. NeuroSoul Liberation to the world. The blending of the brain, the neuro, and the soul, your essence, right? Integrate both of those. We got the NeuroSoul Liberation method that gave birth to the NeuroSoul Liberation University, right? The vision for the university that will then give birth for the NeuroSoul Liberation Academy. And we're going to have the whole humanity learning how their brain works, remembering their intuition, getting back to trusting their intuition and their creativity, and understanding who is their highest self, right? What does that person look like? Where does that person live? How does that person show up every day? What do they eat for breakfast, right? What do they eat for dinner, right? Are they fruitarians? Do they eat meat? Like, what is the highest version of yourself look like? What does a day in the life look like? And then NeuroSoul Liberation meets Continuum, and it's a beautiful thing. All right. But listen, guys, we're gonna tune out. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I'm your boy, your host. Not your host. This is not a show. All right. This is like a show. But I'm your boy, man, founder, Continuum, creator of the NeuroSoul Liberation method, founder of the NeuroSoul Liberation University. We're gonna have glossary, right? Index, words, phrases, terms that we use specifically in our university, in our academy, in our method, right? Yeah, this is going to start getting exciting. So stay tuned, stay on the ride, and know that we ain't nowhere near done yet. We ain't nowhere near done yet, right? Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. And tomorrow, day 5, we'll talk about discipline. Peace.